Dog Works Radio is sponsored by Alaska Dog Works. Check out their website at alaskadogworks.com. You are listening to The Daily Dog with your host, Michele Forto. The Daily Dog offers training advice, tips and tricks, and maybe even a book or movie review, too.
Hello and welcome, everybody. It's Michele Forto with The Daily Dog. Lately, we have been discussing service dogs. I thought it might be time to discuss etiquette in regards to approaching people with disabilities and their service dogs. The following recommendations detail only a few of many types of disability etiquette that should be followed. The main point is to have an open mind and to not assume anything about anyone, regardless of what we might think of their physical condition or status, or the fact that they may have a living medical device, a service dog. By treating a person with a disability in a respectful, polite, and helpful manner, it enables a development of interaction between people. It is important to know that just because people with disabilities sometimes need special treatment does not mean that they are different from people without disabilities. A disability is merely something they have. It does not change who they are or what they can become. Appropriate ways to interact. Be careful not to patronize any person with a disability. Avoid referring to an individual by the condition he or she has, such as quadriplegic or epileptic. Avoid referring to a person with a disability as one of them. Do not exclude any person with a disability from any group or hesitate to assign them a particular task. Avoid making the assumption that a person with a disability knows the needs of another person with a disability. When approaching a person who is blind or visually impaired, identify yourself and anyone who is with you and mention where you are. When giving directions to a person who is blind or visually impaired, be specific and use words rather than gestures. Explain any obstacles that might be in the person's way of travel. When handing more than one item to a person who is blind or visually impaired, inform the person which item is on top, middle, and bottom. Do not pet guide dogs or service animals because they might lose their concentration, which could put their owners in danger. Also, do not hesitate to offer to lead the way and let the person take your arm for guidance. When a person who is blind or visually impaired is among a group of people, everyone should identify him or herself each time he or she speaks. Do not generalize that all people who are blind or visually impaired read Braille. Do not park in a parking space reserved for people with disabilities unless you have the proper identification and have a disability that warrants you to park there. People need the bigger area to get out with wheelchairs. Speak to the person who has the disability and not just someone with them. Be patient and ask questions if you can't understand them. Never pretend you can understand someone if you do not. Simply say what you think the person said and they will correct it if necessary. Be patient if someone uses a device to communicate with. Do not talk down to the person as though they were a child, unless they are a child. If you want to ask someone about his or her disability, then ask. Be polite and respectful. People with physical disabilities are just people with limitations. Please don't stare for long periods of time. Let your child talk to people with disabilities. It is really sad when parents do not let their children ask questions or talk. Children are very accepting. Do not pat someone with a disability on the head. They are not pets or toys. They are people. If it looks like someone with a disability might need some help, just ask. The worst they can do is say no thank you. Not everyone can shake hands. Try a nod or a smile instead. Relax and just be yourself. In regards to speaking and writing, please do not use these words or terms when referring to a person with a disability. cripple, victim, defect, invalid, sick, diseased, wheelchair bound. Please use terms such as person with a disability or he or she uses a wheelchair, not wheelchair bound. Remember, persons with disabilities are people first and a person with a disability second. When you are with someone in a wheelchair, do not push, drive, lean on, grab, hold, or anything else to their wheelchair without permission. This is their personal space and property. Rearrange furniture if there is something blocking the way of their wheelchair. Try to get on eye level with the person if possible. In regards to service animals, over 12,000 people with disabilities in the United States use the aid of a service animal. Although the most familiar types of service animals are guide dogs, used by people who are blind, service animals are assisting persons who have other disabilities as well. Many disabling conditions are invisible. Therefore, every person who is accompanied by a service animal may or may not look disabled. A service animal is not required to have any special certification. What is a service animal? A service animal is not a pet. According to the Americans with Disabilities Act, a service animal is any animal that has been individually trained to provide assistance or perform tasks for the benefit of a person with a physical or mental disability, which substantially limits one or major life function. Service animal access. The civil rights of persons with disabilities to be accompanied by their service animals in all places of public and housing accommodations is protected by federal laws. Service animal etiquette. Do not touch the service animal or the person it assists without permission. Do not make noises at the service animal. It may distract the animal from doing its job. Do not feed the service animal. It may disrupt his or her schedule. Do not be offended if the person does not feel like discussing his or her disability or the assistance the service animal provides. Not everyone wants to be a walking, talking show and tell exhibit. And finally, remember, many people do not know what to say or how to act when they meet someone with a disability. People with disabilities have the same feelings as you. Many people with disabilities are professionals and have college degrees. Treat someone with a disability as you would like to be treated, and you can't go wrong. If you'd like more information about service dogs or the laws regarding service dogs, you can contact us at Alaska Dog Works.
Did you know that Alaska Dog Works trains service dogs for those in need throughout North America? Each and every service dog that is trained through the Lead Dog Service Dog Program and Michele Forto and her team has an individual training plan. We train for autistic, mobility, psychiatric, and PTSD for our soldiers for service work. If you know of someone that may need a service dog, please take a moment and check out Alaska Dog Works on social media and at alaskadogworks.com.
If you like our podcast, there are a few things you can do. You can take a couple of minutes and go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. You can also check out all of our DogWorks Radio sponsors and promotions in our show notes. Another thing you can do is go over to Facebook, like our Facebook page, and one last thing, please tell all of your friends by spreading the word about DogWorks Radio. Thank you so much for listening to us. We really appreciate you.
DogWorks Radio is produced by Robert Forto. Logo art by Angry Squirrel Studios. DogWorks Radio is produced in conjunction with KVRF 89.7 in Palmer, Alaska.
For dog training advice, you can contact Alaska Dog Works at 907-841-1686 or visit their website at alaskadogworks.com. If you have a show idea or would like to be a guest, please contact us by sending an email to live@dogworksradio.com.